I can't help but think while I'm watching this movie, this guy like charging through the desert and through mud and junk. I'm going, he stinks right now.
But thank God we don't have smell-o-vision.
Right? So in my mind of minds, I'm thinking it's the future. They may not have like baths, but there's some sort of thing that device can walk in and instantly kills all the germs and makes them clean. I mean, these are space wizards. They can do this kind of stuff.
They take a lightsaber to their arm hair.
That's dangerous.
Captain, we have a proximity alert with the planet Geekery. We are approaching collision.
Quicks, get somebody on the comms. Enter in the security code.
257. Security code accepted.
Hello, devoted geeks, and welcome to episode 39 of Comm Talk, the podcast extension of Geek Devotions, the YouTube show from a couple of devoted geeks that are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. I am Dallas, and with me is...
Celeste! As you listen to this podcast, please interact with us. Send us your thoughts on what we're saying via Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find us by simply looking up Geek Devotions. And do us a favor and leave a review on...
Not iTunes anymore.
What's it called now?
Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcast. That was the reasoning for the pause, guys, because I went, it's not iTunes anymore, but I don't remember what it is.
Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcast. Please interact with us there and on our social media, and perhaps you can become the Devoted Geek of the Month.
Indeed, indeed. All right, so this past month has been interesting. We started a new summer event called...
Summer Cereals!
Dun, dun, dun. And it's been a lot of fun. And so the whole point of the whole series on YouTube, on our YouTube channel is we're taking series, whatever it be, movie series, TV series, and we're watching them, and you guys get to watch along with us. So this past month, we've watched Star Wars Episode 4, 5, and 6.
Yes.
And this upcoming Friday, our friend from Geeks Under Grace, Colby, who is kind of our captain in the Bible study team.
Yes.
He's brought a great devotion for you guys for this upcoming Friday. Super excited about it.
Because he is the biggest Star Wars nerd.
He is. He actually wrote me he sent me a link. We're probably going to put it in the description for an article he wrote on Han Solo, and it is really, really great.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I would be intrigued to read that because I'm going to see Solo for my birthday.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about. So anyways... So that's what we've been doing all month long. So we thought today for our podcast, we would talk about Star Wars and just some of the nostalgic stuff, why we like it, maybe our favorite memories watching it, and things that kind of stand out to us over the years. And then also a couple other quick things we're going to be doing today. We're going to be going to our Facebook comments. And then after the break, we are doing a kind of a special segment. I want to get your guys' view on it. We went out and we interviewed some people and asked them what their thoughts were on Star Wars and what they liked about it and what they didn't like about it. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. And then also, I posted up a video earlier today. And it was quite interesting. Or not a video. It was a picture earlier this week, and it was two cosplayers that have combined Final Fantasy with their love for fast food, and so we asked people to give us their best captions. So,
bless them.
So that's coming up on the second half of today's podcast. But let's start with this. Celeste, what is it about Star Wars that you love?
I think that what stands out about Star Wars to me that I love is the story. The storyline is so well crafted. Mm-hmm. We all know that I'm much more of the fantasy lover than necessarily you are, because I enjoy Lord of the Rings a lot more than you do. And so for me, it combines because I do love science fiction. So it combines the science fiction with the fantasy, and it's a good story. There's a good background, and it's just really well done. That, and added to the fact of it's kind of become a family thing for my parents and I. So getting to, like, we still try to, every time a new one comes out, go see it all together.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't always work. We didn't do that with Last Jedi because some things came up. But we do attempt to go and see it with them.
Yeah, that's really good.
Hence the reason we're going to see Solo for my birthday.
That's cool. I kind of, I enjoy the storyline. Like we said before, I'm not a big fantasy fan. I'm just not, can't really get into it. There's something about, I like the fact that I like to bathe. In most of your fantasy films, there's no bathing happening. Because it's medieval time frames.
This is why you just don't think about things.
I can't help but think about, I'm watching this movie, this guy, you're like charging through the desert and through mud and junk. I'm going, he stinks right now.
But thank God we don't have smell-o-vision.
Right? So in my mind of minds, I'm thinking it's the future. They may not have like baths, but there's some sort of thing that device can walk in and instantly kills all the germs and makes them clean. I mean, these are space wizards. They can do this kind of stuff.
They take a lightsaber to their arm hair.
That's dangerous.
You know that they probably have sonic razors. They have blasters and lightsabers. You know that they do not shave with a blade.
Right. So, but that's some of the stuff that I see and I think about. And but this is sci-fi. I'm a big sci-fi nut. Big that. And so it kind of combines a lot of stuff. I like the magic aspect of it. I know it's not magic.
It's the Force.
It's metachlorians. But science. But
because science.
Right.
Not sponsored.
But I can the way that it was structured, the way the storyline, at least the original storyline was laid out, you have the ability to suspend belief for a bit.
Yeah.
And you get into this really interesting, complex story. I'm much more of a fan of political discord and discussion than I expected.
Yeah.
But sometimes in movies when there's a lot of it, it gets a little too conversational.
Yeah.
And there's not enough action to balance things out. But this has a nice palette. There's a lot of political conversation that takes place within this.
Yes.
But it's also, there's plenty of action and shooting things and all kinds of crazy stuff happening. So that's part of the reason why I really enjoy Star Wars. Mm-hmm. So we know why we like it. And you kind of hit this a little bit, but when you talked about your family and you guys going to see it, all of them. But is there a moment or a favorite memory from watching Star Wars?
I think my favorite is, so let me back this up for just a bit to explain the story. Everyone knows that my dad and my mom got married when I was 16. He's the one who introduced me to all the geeky stuff. They got married. He adopted me. Yada, yada. So he introduced my mom and I both to Star Wars. And we watched it 4, 5, 6. And at the timing of everything happening, episode 3 hadn't come out yet.
Oh, yeah.
So they got married in April. Episode 3 came out in May. Mm-hmm. So we watched 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2. And then went to see 3 in theaters. And it was a lot of fun. We went with some cousins of mine, and that was probably the first time I ever wanted to smack one of them, because the youngest one, and the way they're very, very analytical.
Right.
And so one of the younger ones goes something about, well, of course we all know that Anakin becomes Vader, and my mom didn't know that.
Spoiler alert, by the way, for you listening to this podcast.
Sorry. But I feel like at this point most people know.
Right.
If they're going to listen to this type of thing. So, like, her world was rocked and my dad and I wanted to strangle. Because I knew because I had friends who watched it, so I had heard. And my dad knew because he'd watched them.
Right.
But she had not put 2 and 2 together. That's
interesting, though, the fact that you discuss it that way. We don't get to see that very often.
No.
You know, in the world of spoilers on the internet and stuff like that. And this being such an older film, people just kind of, there's this general knowledge that this is a thing.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite videos online is there's a video someone put together where parents were showing their kids the scene from Return of the Jedi. Or not Return of the Jedi, The Empire Strikes Back. I'm sorry. Yes. Where he reveals that he is Luke's father. And the kids are like, no! Like, they're freaking out.
No, he's not.
So I love that. I love all of that. So it's really cool that your mom at least had the opportunity, but she still experienced the shock of it, even though it was ruined to a degree. The shock of it it's really cool that your mom had the ability to experience that.
Yes.
So, okay, cool. Is there another cool moment for you, memory?
Oh, there was several. I could quote lines from episode 1 well before I ever saw it, because I had a friend who, she had a Padawan braid. Was hardcore, diehard fan. And so she would quote the line about, I killed them all. Not just the men, but the women and the children. I can still to this day quote that whole line because she said it so much.
Right. That's so funny. So funny.
So there's a lot of good memories around it, but I think those two are my favorite.
Right. For me, memory-wise, I remember as far back as I was a kid, always been exposed to Star Wars. When I was real young, I remember sitting in the living room. It was my sister and I don't know what was going on, but the TV was on, and it was Return of the Empire Strikes Back. And I remember the Marinard sitting there just watching it in awe. And I remember playing with his little action figures on the floor and stuff like that. And then I just looking up the TV and seeing Luke hanging upside down with a big snow creature, and he's using the Force to summon the lightsaber and free himself. That scene stuck with me forever. I remember years later, Mary and I were playing on our little swing set we had in our backyard, and I'm like dangling upside down, reaching for a stick, going, use the Force, you know? So, but this is the thing, like, Mary and I, we've had a thing where up until the Last Jedi, where life just got wild for us, we'd seen every Star Wars together, and in theaters, the new ones at least, but I remember the first time we had an opportunity to see it in theaters. It was episode 1, and I had just had surgery. And we were out to eat with some family members, and one of my cousins, him and his brother were the biggest Star Wars nerds. I mean, the biggest Star Wars nerds. Yeah.
We have a Princess Leia mug because of them.
And he's like, hey, you guys want to see episode 1? And his wife is like, oh my God. You know, because she's already seen it like 3 times. So we're like, yes. So we go. And now, Mom knew I was a Star Wars fan. Episode 1 just came out. I actually have somewhere... And if you watch Geek Devotions, it's in the background of a couple of our episodes, but the screenplay to episode 1 is in our background right now on the YouTube show. But yeah, it is. It's right by the comic book box over there.
Oh, okay.
But so we we go and we watch it, and I remember it was the first time that was like I thought about the fact of staying to the end of the credits for something to happen post credits.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like you kind of saw that a little bit here and there with the Marvel movies, but it wasn't as big of a deal back then. Like it was just starting to happen. It was a novelty almost. But this, I was like, and at the very end, all you heard was the breathing of Vader at the very end of episode 1.
I don't remember that.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I've ever watched all the way to the credits on that movie.
It's spoiler alert. But yeah, so I had that. Those are some of my favorite memories right there. Is going to see in the movie theaters and spend time with Tamara watching it. And again, it's always been part of my life. I mean, currently we are filming and recording in our office here at the house, and in this bedroom, it's actually a bedroom. But
at one point it was a bedroom.
Right, but I remember being in this room as a kid and the walls being lining at the top of the ceiling, Star Wars wallpaper.
It was still there when we got married. They actually had to pull it down and repaint it. So
right.
And we were like, no, why'd you do that?
So, and then like my cousins had the most infuriating game ever. It was Star Wars for Super Nintendo. That was the worst Star Wars video game ever, I'm sure. But we had that.
I don't know. The one where the Force dinosaurs keep trapping me is not nice.
I love that game.
I can't get past the Force dinosaurs.
All right, so let's take a look real quick at some of the Facebook comments from Devoted Geek Life. If you're not part of Devoted Geek Life, I want to encourage you guys to check out Devoted Geek Life on Facebook. It is our Facebook group, the official Facebook group for Geek Devotions.
Yes.
All you gotta do is go to facebook.com and search for Devoted Geek Life. You can also get there through our website, geekdevotions.com, or on our main Facebook page. And I apologize for overloading you guys with lots of information here, but on our main Facebook page, there's a tab for like community or something like that. Click on that and you'll see the group. But it's simply called Devoted Geek Life. And sometimes we post polls there and discussions and stuff like that. And so I asked them, question time. What's your favorite nostalgic memory from watching Star Wars? Any of them. And so we had some really cool thoughts and comments, and I want to share them with you guys. All right. So LJ Lowry, obviously from Geeks Under Grace, some of you guys may recognize him. He says, skipping school to go see Phantom Menace as a family.
That's fun.
See, that's what I love about this. Is like there's something about Star Wars that just brings families together. All right. Let's see here. Andrew Simpson from Consuming Fire Gaming, another great Facebook, YouTube channel. If you're into gaming and you're family-friendly gaming, check him out. He says, watching the original trilogy with my dad and brother when they were released in 1997.
Re-released.
Yeah, re-released. I'm sorry. And of course, that was the edited version. The big controversy over that. But that's honestly that is the first set that I personally owned, actually.
Nice.
So Josh Burkey just posted up a GIF of Darth Maul.
Darth Maul is beast mode.
He was. It's so underplayed in the movies. I hate the fact you have to watch the cartoon series to get more of a story.
See, I didn't even realize that's where his story was.
Mm-hmm. And then the strange person, Celeste Mora.
No, I already talked about that. We're good.
She commented on it.
I didn't realize. Okay, so sometimes we don't always talk about the posts we make until after we made them, and so I didn't realize this was for the podcast, or I wouldn't have commented. If you
could do me a favor, read Paul's comment for me, and then describe the conversation you had with Paul. Now, Paul, just for everybody listening, Paul is from Retro Rewind Podcast, great friends of ours, and just rewind. Josh Burkey is actually from Victims and Villains Podcast,
and PS Midnight. Is he still on that one?
He does.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, go ahead and read this comment from Paul.
Paul says, Han Solo running after the stormtroopers on the Death Star shooting first, episode 4. As a 5-year-old, I laughed and laughed. It was my favorite scene. And so then he posts up a GIF. And so he and I got into a conversation because I thought he was referencing the Katina scene. And I went, is this the re-edited version? Because I thought they changed it later to where because the GIF kind of looks like he isn't shooting first. To where he looked like more of a victim instead of a rogue. And so then he posted up another GIF where it is the edited and he is shooting in self-defense.
Right. So, and the scene they're describing, he's running through the Death Star like a madman going, ah! It's trying to scare off the stormtroopers. And then it was just that brick, oh, about face, turn away.
Bless you, Harrison Ford. Okay, and then Branson Boykin says, seeing Darth Vader pick up Palpatine and toss him over the edge to save Luke in episode 6.
Yeah.
6. Even at a young age, I understood the significance of that moment, and that's why I'm such a sucker for redemption stories. Me too, Branson. Me too.
Oh, man. Guys, thanks so much for taking part in Devoted Geek Live. For those of you who are listening right now, we appreciate you so much. And if you want to have a really cool community to talk with people and love on them and have some fun, just being geeky, check out Devoted Geek Live. So we're about to go to break, and after the break, when we come back, like we said earlier, special segment, we're going to be playing audio from some interviews we did with some people, just some brief comments they had, and we're going to talk about their comments. We're going to comment on the comment about the comments, and
at least we're not critiquing the critics.
At least we're not critiquing the critics, you're right. And then we're going to talk about the Ronald McDonald versus Colonel Sanders Final Fantasy style.
Because it's just fun.
See you guys after the break. Are you a new business or ministry and need help getting your message out? Are you a budding artist who needs help sharing your passion with the world? Need help creating a social media presence that's impactful and represents who you are, but can't afford to have someone else run it for you all the time? One of my passions is to help people establish a social media presence so they can reach others with a message that encourages and changes lives. Not only do I want to help you create it, but I want to give you the skills so that you can maintain and grow your online presence. I offer a variety of services from graphic design to creating a social media campaign to consultation. If you're interested in my help, email me at geekdevotions@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you. All right, and we're back from the break. That was a happy little jaunty tune that was going on there in the break. So, Celeste, explain to people what's going on here real quick.
Okay. We have done a few interviews with people asking them what makes Star Wars so nostalgic for them. Because it really is something that most people are very nostalgic about. Mm-hmm. Even if they don't really like it, they still have memories around it.
Right.
So...
And what's interesting about it is, like we've said before, if you listen to all the previous comments, there's a lot of family stuff that happens
There is
here.
a lot of family stuff.
So, all right, so let's listen to the first one.
One thing I remember when it comes to watching Star Wars movie, me and my dad, we like to watch them together. And I remember watching Empire Strikes Back with my dad and watching the conflict between Luke and his father. And you should have saw the biggest grin on his face and the chuckle in his belly when Darth Vader cut off his son's hand. There's a little bit of my dad's twisted sense of humor. So that's one of my greatest memories.
That's awesome.
All right, so that was kind of a dark comment, family moment.
Especially considering if you know Carlos, he runs Healing Truth Ministries, and he's not like, his sense of humor is not exceptionally dark. So he has his moments, but it's not. So the fact that his dad was like that is funny to me.
Right. So that's an interesting comment about his dad just laughing, like chopping off the son's hand. I mean, just like nowadays you'd be like, should we worry? Are you safe?
You try to get the kid alone for a minute. Do you need an adult?
So, oh man, thank Carlos, thanks for your comment. That was a great one. Let's go to another one here.
One thing I remember is that it just seems like Star Wars has always been in my life. I don't remember the first time I watched it. It's always been there.
Constant force.
It is. I've always loved it. I've always enjoyed watching it. I've watched it many, 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 many times. I've even read the books. So, yeah, it's just always been there.
Very cool. Thanks so much.
Okay, so that was our friend Susan from church, and Susan is, needless to say, an avid Star Wars fan.
Avid.
She's read all the books, all this other stuff, and she had an interesting comment there. It's just that it's kind of always been there.
Yeah.
I feel like that's pretty commonplace, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think it is about people like where it's always been there, but there's just something that people just love about it? What do you think that is?
It's one of those things of the story pulls people. It doesn't matter what time frame you're in. You may make fun of the graphics, but it doesn't matter what time frame you're in. The story is still a good story. It's still entertaining to watch Luke and Leia find out they're twins. You know, it's still, you laugh at Han Solo when he's like, well, she loves him. Well, what am I supposed to do? I thought she loved me. Like, it's just, the story was so classic that at least the original 3, I think, will always be something people go, oh, you need to see this.
Absolutely. And it is there's something for everybody, I think, in it.
Yeah.
You know, you have the romance between Han and Leia, and the awkwardness of it. You have the action, you have the drama, and I mean, everything in this film. I mean, it's a really interesting saga. I mean, that's what they called it originally. It was the saga. I remember I was pulling graphics for your episode for this past week of Geek Devotions, and I pulled out the an original poster version of this particular Star Wars, and it said the saga continues, and it really is. It's a saga.
It is.
It's a beautiful saga. All right, so let's listen to one last person and see what they had to say.
What I remember back before I was saved, I was in the Navy, and when we went to these foreign ports in these third world countries, and the bar scene in the first movie was so true. It was like it was, I'd been there, done that.
That's awesome. All right, thanks.
I love Tony.
So what Tony's talking about is just the relatability of it. And Tony actually, I talked a little bit afterwards. Things started coming back to him, and it's just that there was so much. Well, like I said, there's so much that was relatable to the movie, but there was this, like, depending on what you're watching, you're like, I could see myself in that situation. Like, yes, this is like a space fantasy that takes place in a galaxy far, far away, a long, long time ago. But there are these very human elements into it where we're like, you can transpose yourself and put yourself in these situations. I think that's what it is. I think that's key. What Susan was saying, that it's just always been there and there's always a love for it, because you can put yourself in one of these situations. Now, you have to do some creativity to remove some things. I mean, there's no lightsabers yet. There's no, there's certain things that aren't there yet. We could pray. But there are these very beautiful human elements that are put in there that I think everyone can capture and get a hold of. And I think that is the key of Star Wars. That's why it's such a big deal. All right. So any more thoughts or discussions on Star Wars, Celeste, before we continue on to our final thing, which is an interesting meme that I found?
No, I think that we've said it all.
All right. Cool beans. All right. So here's what's going to happen, guys. We're going to switch gears a little bit. Like I said, I found this image on the internet the other day, and I was like, this has got to be captioned by the Devoted Geek Life. And for those of you who are listening, when I get this up on our website, which will be the day after this is published on Apple Podcasts and Google Play, I will actually put this image on our website. Go to geekdevotions.com, click on Comm Talk, and find this episode. It'll be episode 39. And it'll be right there for you guys to see it. But basically, what's happened here is, and I don't know the situation. I don't know where they are.
So honestly, if I had to guess, they're at some sort of a con, because if you look, there's so many people around them. So they're probably not even like about to square off and fight. They're probably just talking to each other.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, this is clearly just a con situation. But what it is they've combined a couple characters from Final Fantasy 7 to be exact. They have Cloud, who the person combined Colonel Sanders with Cloud, and then you have
the fact that the bucket's around the sword.
And then you have Ronald McDonald as Sephiroth, who's the main kind of protagonist villain in the Final Fantasy 7 series. And so let's break down what these characters look like real quick. You have the Cloud character, Colonel Sanders, and all white outfit like the Colonel. Hair's kind of done up a little funky. This is a fake beard my man has on. Let's talk about that.
Like, if you look, it doesn't even really look like it's hair.
Right.
It looks like a cup or something.
And then he's got the shoulder piece here. It's a Colonel Sanders, probably box, one of the boxes. And then the sword, it looks like it's made out of several elements of boxes and everything. But the hilt is the Colonel Sanders bucket. Mm-hmm. And then Ronald... It's
very well done.
It is. Ronald has this kind of like, it's more of a baggy look of his outfit. But he's wearing definitely looks like sort of military style boots. Mm-hmm. And then his sword, we can't see his face, but his sword is a thing of McDonald's fries.
Oh my gosh, I just now noticed that.
And then the blade is one giant French fry. It's the long fry.
It's the long fry.
The coveted long fry. And then the guy's wearing like a red wig. That's long, like Sephiroth was. So what we're going to do is we're going to read through some of the comments, and then Celeste and I are going to give a shout out to the person who gave the best the best caption. All right, so let's open this up. There's a lot. You guys say great.
There's so many comments.
See, one person put, Ronald, I am your father.
Okay. Another person's put, this McCrap's about to get real.
One person he put out two actually. And the burger wars continue. And then another one was, the son of Donald meets Colonel Sanders Jr.
Oh my gosh. Mr. McDonald, we meet again. Prepare for 12 herbs and spices of Kentucky Fried Fury. I have to wonder if they were trying to reference Mr. Anderson.
Oh my gosh. All right, another person, somebody's not getting it their way. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I'm loving these so much. All right, another person, it's Goth McDonald going against Goku FC in a Badlands street match for World Championship. Luckily, with from Ruby is the Goku FC's corner keeping and extra eye out for that creepy hamburglar and henchman Grimace. Let the battle begin.
It's W from...
Oh, W from Ruby.
Is that Ruby?
Yeah, that's Ruby.
Oh.
So, all right.
I think they're referring to the dude standing behind the colonel.
Right. What's interesting is the person who... He put in a lot of really interesting... Thought into this, but from a variety of animes, different things... But I would not expect this particular individual to do that comment.
Really?
They may get an honorable mention. And so I'm just going to say that right now. All right, Seer, go ahead and read that one, Celeste.
This is awesome. Ronald McDonald is awesome.
Oh.
That wasn't the one you were pointing at, was it?
It was, but I didn't read it in my head for some reason. All right, Seer, read this one here.
What's the matter, Ronald? Chicken.
All right, another one. Dang it, Jimmy, I told you to stop copying my homework. Yeah, but I changed some stuff. Not enough.
I don't understand that one. Has nothing to do with burgers.
All right, read that one.
All this money spent on his costume that could have been spent fixing the ice cream machine.
Oh my god. Oh man, I'm dying here. I hope you guys are enjoying these as much as we are.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
So, another reference to the fast food wars taking place. Alright, and so here's one. This person is actually trying to incorporate some of the Final Fantasy elements. So it's you, Sephiron, the one-winged mascot. Alright, another person. Yo, Mac, who's your hairdresser? Tackling those curls takes skills.
Because as anyone with curly hair knows, straightening your hair is an act of Congress.
Right.
The force is strong with Ronald McDonald.
Big Mac Sephiroth versus KFC. Sun's gone wild.
I'm not sure what that's about.
All right, so here we got a few more down the pipeline, and then we're gonna try to figure out who's gonna be the best one. All right. So another one is Colonel from Kentucky Fry You, Ronald.
Colonel is about to Kentucky Fry.
Sorry, Colonel is about to Kentucky Fry You, Ronald. All right.
Final fast food fantasy.
All right, another one in the best Morgan Freeman voice, which I can't do.
No.
Captured here, we have the moment before the McChicken Treaty was signed. All right, read that.
How do I say that?
I'll read it. Sephiroth Ronald, good to see you, Sanders. And then you actually posted a GIF for it.
Because again, I didn't realize this was for the podcast. I just thought we were talking, and so I was like, GIFs! Fly, you fools!
Alright, another friend goes, what have you done with Grimace? Return him and no one gets hurt. Wow.
Okay, see if I can read this in the voice that I heard it.
Right.
Dishonor your fast food with your chicken. Because to me it sounds like Mushu. Dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow. Like, this is how I hear it. So I apologize.
You dishonor fast food with your chicken.
Dishonor fast food with your chicken.
All right. Another one from you, actually. Dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow.
Because again, I thought this was conversation.
Another friend of ours posted up, I am smiling because I know something you do not know. I am not left-handed.
And then the last...
This is my favorite.
The last one, and it's so funny. Everybody was kung fu fighting. The fact of who did that one is funny to me.
All right, so Celeste, this is hard. Let's I need you to accumulate in your head which was the best one. Which is the best one in your head, and then give one honorable mention. Oh yeah. All right. So honorable mentions from me already off the bat is what's the matter, Ronald? Chicken. And then another honorable mention one is the Where is it? Oh, come on. Where'd it go? Oh. Miss McDonald, we meet again. Prepare for 12 herb and spices of Kentucky Fried Fury.
I think, can I have more than one honorable mention?
You get 2 honorable mentions.
Okay, so that one's one of my honorable mentions.
Okay.
The other one is somebody's not getting it their way.
See, that might have actually been my favorite. I'm not sure.
So, no, my favorite, if you'll scroll back up, is this crap's about to get real. Just because it appeals to the side of me that likes Grey's Anatomy.
Right. Oh my goodness gracious. All right, so your favorite. What's your favorite?
The McCrap.
No, that's your favorite.
That's my favorite.
This McCrap's about to get real. That's a good one. That's a good one. All right, so...
Although, well, no, I already did more than one honorable mention.
Yeah, you did. They're all so good. We want to encourage you guys to go back and read these.
I have another one, though.
All right, one last one. You're just on your...
In your best Morgan Freeman voiceover, captured here, we see the moment before the McChicken Treaty was signed. That is my best Morgan Freeman voice.
All right, so for me, my favorite, I think, is Colonel's about to Kentucky fry you, Ronald.
That one was good. That one was really good.
All right, so between the two, what was your favorite?
This McCrap's about to get real.
And then the... Colonel is about to Kentucky fry you, Ronald. Those are done by, mine was done by Josh Burkey of Victims and Villains podcast. I want to encourage you guys to check it out. We'll have links in the description on the website. And then This McCrap's About to Get Real is done by our friend Mike Johngrass, who you guys may remember who was on our podcast when we talked about Godzilla a while back. He did a podcast, or he did an episode of Geek Devotions about... The Hobbit.
He did.
Last year. And he's also a missionary in Scotland. So
I encourage you to go and follow his Instagram just because he posts the most prettiest pictures.
He does. They're absolutely gorgeous pictures of Scotland that he posts up. And you can find his Instagram at PreachJohn316. That's Preach John 316. That's his Instagram. Check him out. Follow him. Those are our favorites. Guys, let us know your favorites. Message us, tweet us, hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, and all that good stuff. That's where we're all at. Just look for Geek Devotions. If you're on the website and you're watching this on the YouTube video on the website, or maybe watch this on YouTube, leave comments down below. Let us know what your favorites are. So that's about all we have. Don't miss next week's Comm Talk. We're going to be talking about the season finale, nearly series of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Very emotional, the season finale.
And we're not talking about it today because I need a moment. I need a moment before I can express what I'm feeling.
Right. So that's what's happening next week, guys. Again, don't forget Friday's episode of Geek Devotions. Our friend Colby Bryant from Geeks Under Grace will be taking over the channel. We're super excited about that. So thanks so much for taking time to listen to Comm Talk today. If you love this episode, head over to Apple Podcasts, subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It's all very, very much appreciated.
Until next Sunday, stay devoted.
Peace and love.